What is up, wrestling fans? Welcome to another Pay-Per-Viewpoint edition of the Smark Moment Smack Talk podcast. WrestlePalooza is coming up this Saturday, so we're going to be running down that card. And of course, we'll do the same when it comes to AEW All Out, but one at a time here. Talk about the 5 matches that are currently announced for this, our predictions, what we were excited for, what we're not excited for, all that stuff that we normally do. If you don't know who we are, I'm Tony Mango, joined as always by Callum Wiggins.
WrestlePalooza.
And Robbie Fleece.
I was going to make a joke about Palooza sounding like Paluda. So we're all in the same boat here. It stinks.
WrestlePalooza is an old ECW name that WWE is bringing back for this whole let's try to make this ESPN thing work. And if you do not remember about that whole deal, yes, this is the first one that is going to be on ESPN. So if you don't have that set up already, you might want to figure that out by Saturday, because it's going to be a madhouse, I'm sure, for a lot of people that are going to click on
all the VPN services out there. Congratulations.
Yeah, because they haven't figured it out. You can't watch it on YouTube TV and other places as well. Like, they haven't set up ESPN on those accounts yet. So
yeah, YouTube on Comcast,
Really?
like Xfinity and stuff, they haven't set it up yet.
That's
so
crazy. That's crazy, because I have YouTube TV. It only hit me this morning that I had to figure out how to do it, and then I just remembered I'm gonna have to go the Netflix route, because I don't like the other thing. It seems like too much. I gotta pay an extra $30.
yeah,
What?
it's absurd.
Yeah.
And there's going to be a lot of people on Saturday that are going to log into Peacock, and they're going to be like, what is this? Why isn't it here? What's going on? And then it's going to be, I'm assuming that ESPN is hoping that people get mad at their service providers and not them.
But
like,
wait, if you just subscribe to ESPN, like the app or whatever, or the Disney bundle, do you not get access?
I think if you have the bundle, you do, but I don't know for sure because I've never signed up for the bundle. I have Disney through my Spectrum, and I've never used it a single time. And by having that with the ESPN thing, it looks like I have that. Like, I was able to click on the watch page and like it, obviously nothing's broadcasting, but it's not telling me like sign up here and click on that and buy that. So I'm assuming that that's what it is. Now I just tried to load it up right now, and it says the event is not started yet. And then it has a check mark that says you have access to stream this content. So I have that through paying a buttload of money every month through Spectrum, but a lot of people don't.
Now, serious question.
Maybe a serious answer.
Like, are we getting ads? Like, what's the deal here?
I am assuming that we will.
Like,
and that's going to be another whole. Yeah. Maybe not. Maybe that's going to be that type of thing that they had said before, that they were interested in maybe broadcasting some stuff through the regular ESPN, and then that stuff would have the ads. And it would be like, maybe they'll do like the pre-shows on ESPN and put ads on there, and then that way they can try to convince people to sign up for the app or something. I don't know. But this Saturday is going to be a very interesting situation like that, because a lot of people are going to be very confused, and they're going to be very upset. And heads up on that front, everybody. If you are checking this out on one streaming platform or another, let us know. I'm curious how everybody that's listening is going to be checking this out. Are you going to go the VPN route? Or are you actually just going to go, hey, I guess I'm spending $30, or are you going to stream it some other kind of way? There are plenty of other options out there that, aren't on the up and up, but still.
You had access without having to pay any premium, correct?
It's like baked in, like ESPN something or other is like baked into my current thing with Spectrum. So when I did like the login thing, I did like login through your cable provider. Okay. I think that that's going to work. I don't know. If it comes down to Saturday and the pre-show starting and I can't get anywhere with that, then I'll have to rush and do what everybody else will have to do and figure something
Tell
out.
me early because I'll just figure it out for you.
I'm not going to know until it starts. Yeah.
That's true. And we'll also be watching AEW. So I guess there's that.
Yeah. No. AEW is a whole other thing when it comes to, hey, do you want to sign up a lot of money on this thing that's actually going to be even more money now and then spend more money on top of that? So we talked about that before, but that is the situation for this weekend. It's going to be AEW, and then it's going to lead into WrestlePalooza. There might be some overlap there. I'm not entirely sure because AEW starts at 2, or is it 3? I think it's 2.
It starts at 2 with the TNT special thing.
So you can assume that that's probably at least going to go until 5, if not 6, maybe even 7, depending on how long they really want to go. They have like 11 matches or something. So typical AEW pay-per-view, typical WWE thing, you can assume that there's 2 hours worth of pre-show that are absolutely worthless to watch for the WWE thing. And then this will probably start at 7 or 8. So not enough time to get a post show in between unless I'm kind of rushing it. If I decide to, you'll know, but I'm assuming I'll do a post show after both of them. And even though we're recording this first, it really doesn't matter. It's the same day on the weekend. So heads up on all those things. Keep all that in mind, everybody. We will, we'll keep you updated if we find out any other kind of news. Great spot to make sure that you are up to date and everything like that is the Discord server that we have. Go ahead and chat it up there. Join that. Make sure that if you want to support us, hit the like button on this video, subscribe, ring that notification bell, get your email alerts set up for those post shows or that one post show, whatever it might be. And of course, keep in mind, if you have a little spare change our way, it goes a long way and it's greatly appreciated if you just toss that towards us. Whether that's the thanks button or if it's $1 a month, $5 a month, $10 a month, whatever it might be on the different tiers over on Patreon or the YouTube channel membership. WrestlePalooza is something that, if we get a lot of people in the live chat, then maybe we could do something else too. There's a lot of different options there. Redbubble and TeePublic for merchandise as well. Keep that in mind. So, preamble out of the way. There are only 5 matches on this card. And of course, we want to know what you have to say, so drop a comment below. The matches themselves, I feel, are interesting and good enough that I could give a thumbs up to this. But at the same time, when I was thinking the other day, and I was looking through and I'm, doing all my 1,500 things I have to do before every single pay-per-view, I was kind of surprised at how little this actually matters. In some ways, it sounds kind of like dismissive, but I was like, all right, how many titles are on the line? How many things do I have to like double check? And I was like, oh, okay. So non-title tag match, non-title tag match, non-title match, title match that it's definitely not changing hands. And then, okay, well, we need a championship. So we got to have a champion on that one. It's got a lot of big names. The matches should be good, relatively speaking. But sure, fine for a pay-per-view like that. I don't think it'll be worth an extra $30 a month for most people, especially not on top of already paying for Peacock. But I guess we're going to see about that. I know that Callum's not going to be watching, but Rob, how's this kind of shaping up in your mind? Does this look like this is something that's like, wow, this is really indicative of a big ESPN show and I'm really excited for it? Or is it like, all right, they're putting it out there as like the bare minimum and it seems like it's fine? Or whatever other opinion you might have. I don't know.
I think it sits in the middle and it really sits with a certain generation of people because Cena Lesnar on paper, big deal, right? Like let's assume you don't care about any of the outside wrestling stuff, Cena Lesnar, last time, that's a big match. If you're really into the soap opera-y type of wrestling, Punk and AJ, Becky and Seth, it should hit for you. I don't think the Usos getting back together is that big of a deal. while I'm happy to see them back together, it's not like, oh my god, this is the reuniting of DX. Say what you want about 06 DX, but this ain't that, you know? And
reunited, and it feels all right, I guess.
yeah, exactly. Like, and I was telling Callum before we got on here, I'm not even fully aware of why Drew and Cody are fighting. And this feels like the most secondary championship match that Cody's ever had. And that sucks, 'cause I like them both. And it shouldn't feel that way. But this feels very thrown together last second for a Cody match.
They're fighting essentially because Cody Rhodes doesn't enjoy being put through a table.
And I think that that's fine in an era when, like, let's say 15 years ago, when they were doing like 14 events a year and they were every 2 weeks. But like, Cody had the last event off, I believe, and they threw this together haphazardly. It just feels weird.
So
That's kind of where I land. It feels like this is a weird show that they're trying to make it seem like it's a big deal, but it feels very last second. Even the name. When's the last time WWE had wrestle in anything that wasn't a built-in pay-per-view like a SummerSlam or a WrestleMania? Feels pretty weird.
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything other than Saturday Morning Slam.
Right, like they don't really embrace the wrestling of it all, so the whole thing just feels strange. But if you believe some people, I know ever since the Saudi announcement for Mania in 2 years, it's been highly discussed of whether or not this was this is being a soft launch for what we might want a WrestleMania to be in America for that year. But it's a WrestlePalooza.
See, I would only be okay with that if it was the other way around. Like I had said before, if it's like Saudi gets WrestlePalooza and we stay with WrestleMania, but if they try to do it the opposite way and be like, well, you know, this will happen and it'll happen a little around SummerSlam or something, and we can do 3 of these a year or whatever, like, you know, then fuck off with that. I know that you're not watching it, Callum, but in the grand scheme of things, how do you assess this? Does this seem like something that people should be a little excited about or whatever?
I'm not here to say if someone should or should not feel excited about this. As I people know where I stand, so I'm not going to rain on their parade. And quite frankly, I think that as far as WWE cards go, and like my low expectations as per usual, I think this could be a fairly watchable show. In the sense that I think that like I said, we'll go down every match in general, but I think EO Sky vs Stephanie Vaquer has the potential to be very good. I think the Punk AJ Lee Seth Rollins Becky Lynch has that air of mystery about it because of AJ Lee's return, so that has an intrigue about it that you wouldn't otherwise necessarily have. So it's not a case of like it's definitely going to be good, but it's more of a case of you're interested to see it just because of how will AJ perform in this new environment, like 10 years after her last match, essentially. And then Cody and Drew, like as capable hands as you can possibly have put together. So like you're not gonna have a bad match between those two unless you have like a really really bad finish. But wait and see on that front. And yeah, John Cena versus Brock Lesnar is a thing. It's it's their last match they had, or they've had multiple matches that are spectacles, like whether it's the SummerSlam 2014 match with the just the complete squash, or the return of Lesnar at the Extreme Rules match in the craziest finish of all time, where you just have a guy who just came back lose to John Cena immediately. But I think that if you just take everything else out of the equation, which I would urge people not to, because that's just sweeping really serious accusations under the carpet, so you shouldn't do that. But if you do take all that stuff out of the equation, it could be a fun match. So
Have they announced that it's a street fight or anything yet?
Nope.
Have they pulled the rules out yet? They
Nope.
should do that before Saturday.
Yeah, they really should, because
well, that'll be the rematch that will inevitably happen.
Oh, so you think we're getting more than one out of this?
I don't see why not. They're doing a big show in Australia, so I don't see why they wouldn't. If they're paying Lesnar well enough to go out there, I don't see why they wouldn't do it as a rematch.
I know it's wrestling, and I know cards subject to change, but they have been pretty definitive. Like, this is the last one.
with only 6 appearances left, and some of them being Monday Night Raw, one of them being at least advertised for Survivor Series, one of them being that Saturday night's main event that's happening in December. He really doesn't have much time left to be able to build any other feuds for the most part. So I'm hoping that there's not a rematch with Lesnar, especially because they still don't have a purpose for this yet. They've not tried at all. And I don't know if this is a matter of them not trying, or if it's not them not caring, or if it's them being like, well, you don't care, so we shouldn't. But there is no story here. And John Cena comes out on Monday Night Raw this week and he goes, I could have said no, but I didn't. That's the story.
Weird.
Brock fucked me up and we have a match and I guess I'll fight him. Why is Brock going after him? They didn't bother. And again, that could be quite literally, the fans don't really care in the grand scheme of things, so why should we put any effort? They just want to see these two people against each other. Or even, we want to see these two people against each other and we think that it'll sell a lot of tickets and nobody necessarily is calling for it because they want him to fight all these other people, but fuck you, that's the marquee. And we still don't want to put any effort into it. Or it could be them being like, well, we don't have any idea of what we could do. And can we just coast on not having an idea and continue to be shitty writers like we are? Because they are. I think that sucks. I'm not interested particularly in seeing this match. I think that was something that was like a genie in a bottle type of moment when they did that match at, what was it, SummerSlam or Extreme Rules a bunch of years ago.
Well, both of those matches were actually very good. You know, like these two, like Callum said, it can be a fun spectacle if you shut your brain off. But like Callum, I don't urge anybody to shut their brains off.
I always just assume that Brock Lesnar's just going to go out there and do the same 3 things again. And I haven't been interested in that. So, like, if this turns into just another, we take 15 minutes for them to be into the ring, and then Brock picks him up and does a German suplex and 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 a German suplex.
Every Brock match for the last 10 years, regardless of who he's wrestling.
So, I might, within 30 seconds, start tuning this match out and just go, okay, I don't need to watch any of it. I'll just type out John Cena defeated Brock Lesnar, defeated John Cena by pinfall / submission. That's what I do on some days. And then when the match is over, I just erase which section of the defeated blank. And then I pick whichever one was pinfall or submission. And I hit update. It could be one of those. Obviously, I'm hoping that's not the case because I never want any segment of any TV show that I'm watching to be boring. But I don't think that this has a whole lot of substance to it. And the marquee value of it is guy that I haven't been really a big fan of for a long time that I can't support in a lot of different ways against guy who's not as good as he used to be. And I guess Brock Lesnar wins because they're going to want to have him fight other people. And then if Cena beats him, then Brock just disappears. But Brock, it doesn't matter.
Just disappear. No, well, none of this matters in the grand scheme of things because Cena's going away. That's a given.
Mm-hmm.
Brock can just lose, show up at the Rumble, start a program that will take him through Mania.
Right. I'm still assuming that Gunther fights John Cena And then we get Gunther versus Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Very possible.
So I'm going to go Brock Lesnar wins this, so that way that keeps some of that up.
Yeah, I guess I'll go Brock. Is his first match, what, 2 years? Or whatever?
Since Cody. So that would be...
Yeah, that was 2 years ago.
SummerSlam 2023?
Yep. Okay. Well, I'll go
or
Brock.
2024? No, 2023. Had to have been, right?
It would be kind of funny if they continue if the pattern for the next however many matches he has is just Cena loses and then someone else comes out to beat his ass and that's just his next opponent.
Just cycles through.
Like, let's just say, not that I'm calling for this, but let's just say he loses and then like the Wyatts come out and beat his ass and the Uncle Howdy's one of his last matches or whatever.
Yeah, I really hope that doesn't happen.
I did an article on that this morning. That's why that's fresh in my mind.
About the Wyatts going after Cena?
About them potentially going after Cena.
Ugh. Yeah, I hope not. 2 votes for Brock. You going Brock as well, Callum?
It seems like the most logical one if like there's actually a quote unquote like more of a longevity to Lesnar, as weird as that sounds, out of the two of them. So Cena's now he's bereft of the WWE Championship. I think that he's going to just pretty much be on his back on the way out, unless they give him someone, a kind of a more jokey opponent in between this and his final match, presumably against Gunther or something, if Gunther's available. But I imagine he'll lose here and he'll lose his final match. And then if they decide to give him a more fun opponent that he can just win on the way out, then they'll do that.
Imagine it's like midway through this like last little stretch, and it's like, man, I lost to Brock, and I like lost to Drew McIntyre or whoever the hell, and then it's like, well, he's got to beat somebody. Send out Akira Tozawa. It's like, that's nasty. It's 3 votes for Brock on that front. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre. The other thing that could potentially, almost anything here could be the main event. Usos and Vision aren't going to be. That's the one guarantee.
Yeah,
and
they've
EO
already
and
confirmed that Cena and Lesnar are going on last.
Oh,
yeah,
they already
they're
said
on they're on the marquee of the card.
They're on the literal marquee. Like,
yeah, but they've done that before. Then had something be the first or second. Doesn't always. And they've had people on the poster that aren't even at the show and stuff. So it's not necessarily a guarantee, but if they did confirm it, then I guess that's just the last one. Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre, though, Undisputed Championship on the line. The Undisputed title that is merged, but isn't merged, but whatever. Cody Rhodes obviously is not losing this.
yeah, I would say that he shouldn't. But like I could see this being similar to Cody's Kevin feud last year, leading into this year. I could see this one going through the Rumble, potentially. And
Oh, me too. Yeah. Drew McIntyre could very potentially be on the opposite team of War Games.
Yeah, I don't know if they'll make it that far. But I think Cody should win here. And maybe McIntyre immediately beats him up and gets his heat back.
I mean, Crown Jewel may or may not have the Crown Jewel Championship match thing going on, which if that does take place, that would be Cody versus Seth. It would make perfect sense. It would be an easy thing. They wouldn't have to do literally any work whatsoever, so you would assume that they would go for it. But there has been a lot of rumors that they aren't continuing that, despite making it a whole big thing about how this is going to be a yearly thing. And if that's not the case, and they end up not having that Crown Jewel champion versus champion set up, then they got to do something. So Cody Rhodes versus Drew McIntyre in a, Australian Warzone street fight, whatever, fuck you match.
Oh, what is that?
I don't know. What do they have in Australia that I could be going around? And the kangaroo KO match.
I was thinking kangaroo in every corner.
I gotta ask. Bodine was just telling me about how it's magpie swooping season. So there you go. Have a match where magpies just go after them.
It's Magpie Mayhem.
Swoopomania. Wrestle plus swoopa. Cody Rhodes retains. He'll have a good showing, Drew McIntyre, but something will happen. Maybe Randy Orton comes out and costs him or something. I don't know. But I can't imagine that the title changes hands here.
No, I don't think the title's going to change hands because it just feels way too soon after Cody won it, and he's basically been off TV for most of the time since he's become champion.
Love that. Love when that happens. Love when we have full-time champions that immediately go part-time.
Immediately. In fairness, he did become a father in that time. So
okay, that is true. I was thinking mostly the movie filming. So, okay. I take that back.
Seems like it's a 50-50 thing.
I take that back.
And supposedly he's getting that he did a good job as Guile, according to some reports saying that rave reviews or whatever of his performance, which is he was pretty good in Naked Gun. All things
but is that kind of that's like a certain standard, like
of course,
I don't think the Oscar nomination's coming anytime soon. Let's put it that way.
Daniel Day-Lewis is in a movie.
An Oscar nod for this.
Hiroki might do. I don't think Cody will, but maybe Hiroki gets something there. But no, I'd say it's one of the ones where the title could retain, but actually predicting the winner's a little bit difficult because I too, like Rob, think that this is going to extend for a little while, and so that always opens up into the area of disqualification finish or count out finish or something along those lines in order to add a bit of doubt. It could easily be just like Cody rolls up Drew not in a cheaty way, but just like gets a flash pin and McIntyre's pissed about it and goes after him afterwards. But it could also be a case of, I don't know, Drew either Drew low blows him or something, or gets caught trying to do something, or Cody, when Drew's caught cheating or tries to hit Cody with a title, Cody responds by hitting him with a title, but the referee sees it and it causes disqualification. There's multiple different ways they could do it. It's essentially their job is to come up with a finish that allows this to continue, at least going into Crown Jewel or another event down the road.
And the simplest way that they tend to do that is Cody just beats him. Drew McIntyre comes out on SmackDown and goes, I had you beat. And then Cody's like, fine, we'll do it again. That's always an obvious way of doing it. Or Cody just beats McIntyre and then McIntyre hits him afterwards, and so they have to continue. Because that's how you earn title opportunities, by just hitting someone in the back after you lost decisively. Unless you're the Women's World Championship situation, then you can't do fuck all before you get that sorted out with Adam Pearce. Yeah. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Adam Pearce gets to dictate when it's official. Okay? If Nick Aldis had a catchphrase, maybe things would be different.
Actually, it's different for earning shots at the Women's United States Championship, because all you have to do is be Meechin.
Yeah.
That is sadly true. She's back in the title picture.
It's so weird that that's the case too, because it was like, okay, B-Fab, you're not Meechin, but you hang around with Meechin. So can you go out to the ring and then Meechin can go? Like, fuck me. All right.
I'll go Cody retaining by some kind of victory, and then Drew will get his revenge afterwards.
Yeah, the safer prediction here is to not necessarily say Cody Rhodes wins, but Cody Rhodes retains. Because then that does renew the option of like, all right, Drew McIntyre could technically win by DQ or whatever, but not win the title. In any fashion.
I will say that's not an official fantasy league prediction.
No, I mean, eventually we got to pick the actual winner. But like, when I type out for like my predictions, I'll go with Cody Rhodes retains. Then I'll be like,
Cody Rhodes retains either by way of a quick roll up or Drew gets DQ'd.
Yeah, I kind of feel like those are the two most likely options. Maybe a possibility.
Crossroads 1, 2, 3.
Nah, maybe there's a possibility of like referee gets taken out. Drew has Cody pinned. he gets all pissed off. What the hell? Why is there no referee? And then Orton runs in, gives him an RKO. And then by the time that the referee gets woken up, probably by somebody lightly, shaking him, because that's what happens when you get knocked out, is if somebody just kind of goes like, hey, then you go, oh yeah, okay, I'm perfectly fine. And then Cody, gets the pin, and then it becomes like, oh, fuck you. You wouldn't have been able to beat me if it wasn't for Randy Orton or something. But Cody retains the title one way or another. The other championship match is for the vacated Women's World Championship. So somebody is going to become the new champion. You wouldn't have known that over the past month with the way that they had treated this whole situation with Naomi. And to a certain extent, you got to give them a little bit of leeway when it comes to, oh shit, we did not anticipate that we would have to have a new champion because Naomi would be going away because she's pregnant. So we have to figure something out. But they did such a piss poor job with this. It was just wait, stall, wait. We'll tell you next week. Next week, we'll tell you that we'll tell you next week. They did fuck all for this. And even to the point that when they finally announced the most obvious thing, which was Stephanie Vaquer already earned this title shot, Io was going to get a title shot, which she really didn't necessarily need to have, but whatever. Let's just announce that. They were going to do a contract signing, and then they ended up not doing that. And then this week, they just had a quick backstage thing, and it was just like, all right, well, anyway, that's happening. So they could not have cared less about this at all. They wanted to make sure that they got another Asuka yelling at Kyrie thing in there 15 different times instead. But this makes me very hesitant to go with Stephanie Vaquer as the champion. And maybe I'm just kind of so far blown cynical that I can't see the most obvious solution of like, well, Vaquer was potentially going to win anyway, and like all those other kind of things. But I just look at this and I go, man, they couldn't have cared less or had some sort of issue that they didn't want to do anything decent with Stephanie over the past couple weeks. And Io's been a prominent part of every single episode. She's got this Asuka thing. She's got Rhea. The next event's in Australia. So either that means Io and Rhea against Asuka and Kyrie, so Kyrie can take a pin or whatever. Or it means Io versus Rhea and Rhea gets the title back, which seems kind of weird to me that you would do that and not just have, some other kind of situation happening. But I'm leaning more towards the idea that Io wins this belt and not Stephanie Vaquer.
I would just go with Stephanie because, first of all, if this was all you were going to do, I'm sorry, you should have just done the match in Paris. You could have booked a grand scale championship match, or not even grand scale, but you could have booked the Rhea match here and still had your match in Australia. Like, nothing is stopping you. I think it should be Stephanie. I think then just do Stephanie versus Rhea in Australia. That's if they're not doing the Crown Jewel Championships. This could be the winner of this faces Tiffany Stratton in Australia.
Could be.
Be that as may, I'm going to go Steph. If it's Io, that's great. She's fantastic. She's almost become the new Oscar role where, as I've always said, hey, when the 4 Horsewomen went down, they just went, where's Asuka? Io has kind of been in that role this year where they're like, we don't have Bianca, well, we've got Io, and we can keep putting her in the ring with Rhea, and that works. So she's done great this year. I think she'll continue to do great no matter what, but I'm going Stephanie.
Split difference. What do you got, Callum?
So I think that they're going to go with Io in this instance. I think Io's probably been, from the bits and pieces that I've seen, the kind of in-ring MVP of WWE this year. And I think that the reason why it makes most logical sense to go to Io, beyond the fact that she's established, she's held the title already this year, for a lot of this year, and so it feels like a safer bet to go with a more established and expected commodity than go with Vaquer is that there's an inbuilt story already in place with VO with Asuka and Kyrie, and so that's like a very logical place to go. Whereas with Vaquer, you're starting from square one essentially, because you give Vaquer the title, you're not going to throw her in the ring with Ripley straight away because she's just going to lose, or it's going to be an odd pairing straight away because it just feels like she hasn't established herself enough yet, because it's her first real big opportunity at a world title. So you kind of have to feel like, okay, so we have to start by putting Stephanie against a Chelsea Green, trying to just think of like, not even Becky even, but like Lyra or Bailey, or essentially stepping stone opponents before she could eventually get to, okay, fight Rhea, and it doesn't feel a foregone conclusion or like they're just trying to stall for time. So EO, there's already that very well-established dynamic with her and Rhea, the fact that she just doesn't lose against Rhea, so you've already got that sorted. I'm pretty, like, if it was up to me, or what my prediction would be, I'd say that the Crown Jewel match, if there's no such thing as the Crown Jewel Championship anymore, the Crown Jewel match for me is going to be Rhea and EO versus Asuka and Kyrie in a tag match. So I don't think the title will be online at Crown Jewel, but I think that EO will be the champion going into that match.
I wish we could know in scenarios like this, even if it's like, well, we got to wait a year to find out that information. I wish they would just kind of tell us what their original plans were once they pass by, so we could see if it was like, all right, well, we have the belt on Naomi. We gave her Money in the Bank with a plan in mind of her doing whatever, whether that was what executed or not. And then we were thinking she would drop the belt around this point or something. Like, we should find out that information. We should do that for more shit in general. Like, I want to know, what else did you have planned for Avengers Endgame that you didn't do? I know Living Tribunal was supposed to be in there. Like, whatever. Like, just tell us that information and see if it was like, man, I wish we could have gotten this Naomi dropping it to so-and-so plan, or, that would have been terrible. I'm glad that this ended up happening that way. Because right now I'm kind of just feeling like they stalled so much that they must not have any plan. And if they give the belt to Stephanie Vaquer, they're going to have nothing for her. If they give it to EO, it's just going to be the continuation of this story. So I'm not really particularly thrilled about that, but at least that's something that they seem interested in. So I like Vaquer. I kind of want her to be the champion, but I can't endorse her as champion in the idea of knowing that she probably has nothing for her and they'll probably screw her title reign. Maybe it's better for her to win the belt of Mania or something. I don't know. Usos versus the Brons. Not, silver medal, bronze medal, that kind of thing, but Bronson Reed, Bron Breakker. Usos have a bunch of issues going on now with LA Knight, and they have issues with each other. And Roman won the last match and then had Bronson Reed beat him up. So to me, that screams Bronson Reed and Bron Breakker are winning this match. Whether it's LA Knight. Yeah, LA Knight either gets involved or Jimmy and Jay argue with each other. Division wins, so that way they can continue to look dominant. I can't imagine the Usos win this.
They need to win this match because they've already lost tag team match at SummerSlam. And, Reed lost the Roman match, which is fine in that case, but it felt like the tag match was being set up so that Roman could either lose without losing by way of Jay getting the pin or whatever, and they ended up going with Jay gets the pin on Reed, who ends up getting a singles match with Roman. Very strange. But one thing we know for sure, baby, is Big Jim is here. And Big Jim can get pinned. And Big Jim is taking some spears. He's taking some tsunamis. And Big Jim is taking that pinfall.
Big pin.
I'm going with the Brons, hands down.
It would make more sense to have the team of Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed get the victory, or the Vision, however you want to refer to them. BBs. the Bron brothers, I don't know, however you want to do it. But I think that I'm like, I didn't really mention this match out of my one saying like, oh, this could be a really good show, or like from WWE standards a good show because of the different matches. This one isn't high on my list for quality for this one. I don't know. It's maybe like just an overall bias towards the Usos in general, because I just don't think they've really. Obviously, Jay has become way more popular and way more over in the time he's been on the single side of things, but I don't think he's gotten any better in the ring. But then again, like, they've always been better as a tag team. They've always had a great dynamic as a tag team. It's been a while since they've done a proper tag team match. Like, the last time they did this was, I know they did like a 6-man tag a while ago when it was Bloodline versus the other Bloodline, whatever they know, the MFTs, however they want to refer it. Yeah,
Bloodline versus the Deadline.
Yeah, but so it'd be interesting to see how their dynamics changed or how well it would form. But I think that in the way that it's just a strange thing, as Rob says, that Jey Uso has leveled up so much in terms of his credibility that Jimmy Uso has gone the complete opposite direction, to the point where he just feels like a perennial pin eater now. It used to be the thing about, because the Usos used to be like
literally
not interchangeable, but but it's like, if anyone, like, to be fair, when people used to talk about which one was better, they always used to just default to Jimmy for a while.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, they were pretty much just interchangeable. Now it's so obvious what the dynamic is between them that one of them is the hot tag guy now. You can only really do a hot tag with Jey Uso because he's the over one out of the two of them. So that's going to change their dynamic a little bit if they are coming back as a tag team more full time, in the fact that they now have they never had a Michaels and Jannetty. Now they have a Michaels and Jannetty. They're probably the only tag team that's ever gone from not being so level in terms of their standing and credibility and crowd reaction, anything like that, to now coming back as a Michaels and Jannetty.
I would argue that comparison gets way too overused. But
the Jannetty
in
thing?
this case, yeah, the Jannetty thing. But in this case, I don't know if there's ever been a more appropriate. Okay, because realistically, at a certain point, if the Rockers ever teamed back up, you would expect a certain level of something from Shawn Michaels and the exact opposite from Marty Jannetty.
Right.
That's what this feels like. You feel, because I'd like to get into the idea of, let's keep the Usos as a tag team and let's have them, fight the Guns, fight the Lucha Brothers, fight all these teams, because I think that's where they would be best right now. But I fear that it's going to be just hot tag to Jay, and Jay has to do his Yeet stuff. It won't even be like an Usos tag. It'll be like two completely different guys, because Jay has to do his Yeet stuff.
Which is a lot what WWE tends to like, when it's just, well, now you're two singles people. And it's like, well, no, they were a tag team before, but I guess we're going to treat them like the two singles people. And yeah, I mean, it's going to be weird to see that. Because if they default to what they used to do, I think the only way that they can pull that off is if they kind of downgrade Jay. And if they try to do like a hot tag to Jimmy, it's going to feel off. And then we might, after just a few instances of that, we might start seeing people being like, Jay, he's never going to be a main event guy again. I personally don't think that Jey Uso is going to win a world title again, ever. Just based off of the way that history tends to go in WWE. Typically, people in that kind of a scenario that don't have a particularly strong title reign and we're kind of hitting up their usual spot on the ladder usually don't get another title reign. It happens every once in a while, though. Look at Rey Mysterio. He had like 3 or something. And, plenty of people here and there, they win a belt, then they end up a couple years later or whatever, winning a belt again. Kane had that one day title reign. It took him like 10 years, and then he won another belt and whatever. But most other people are kind of like Jinder Mahal, where you have one title reign and then we never hear from it again. And if they default back to typical Usos territory, we might see that kind of slow falling down of Jay. not 100% opposed to it, but I hope that they figure out their dynamic. And if anything, that'll be interesting to watch this match just to see how they navigate that. If they end up just being like, all right, we'll chase the hot tag, then it'll get kind of boring after a while to see the Usos, because it'll always just be, okay, well, now Jimmy is going to get his ass kicked until Jay comes in, gets a couple weak spears, and now Jimmy gets tagged back in and Jimmy loses over and over and over again.
In a lot of ways, that was the fun of the peak bloodline. Like, Roman was this top dog dominant force, and the Usos were the best possible tag team in the world. And I don't know, I worry that we're not going to have that now.
Yeah. I think we all have a very clear vision here. The vision is going to win. Now, the mixed tag match, the only other match that we haven't talked about yet, Seth Rollins, Becky Lynch against CM Punk and AJ Lee. Very glad to see AJ Lee back into the mix here. And I can't see this happening any other way other than AJ Lee gets a pin on Becky Lynch. So that way she can get a title shot for the Women's Intercontinental title. Technically speaking, CM Punk can get a pin on Seth Rollins. It's a non-title match. It's not going to hurt him. But Punk and AJ have to win, I think.
If they're not going to win, I would rather they had just made this match a winner gets the titles. That way there's extra stakes. And then the division can win anyway. Because AJ's had a lot of fun just holding the Women's Intercontinental Championship and posing with it. So they could have made it seem like, hey, this started out as a championship thing. Maybe this is how Punk can get the title back, even if they lose. You know? That was an option.
That would go crazy for people if they would have had like the titles change hands like that, since that's never happened before.
And people would have lost their minds. Like, AJ pins Becky, and then, oh my God, AJ just won the title for CM Punk. That's crazy. Again, it wouldn't have happened, but it would be a cool moment.
Yeah, I think that you have to have AJ pin Becky. It's the only logical route to take on this front. If there is like a long-term deal with, or I said long-term deal, but like an ongoing deal with AJ beyond this match, then, or even if it wasn't the case, you just have AJ win because she just come back. You have her pin Becky Lynch. You set up an Intercontinental title match down the road. So yeah, and it means that you can still build up Punk and Rollins presumably for Crown Jewel if they aren't doing the title versus title match. And yeah, that's the only logical step to take, unless the only way that wouldn't happen is if AJ's thing is actually only a one-time appearance and she just loses to put Becky over, but I doubt that's going to happen.
What match do you guys think is going to open the show?
This one.
Yeah, I'd say that one's probably the right opener.
I could see them slotting Io, Stephanie, and Usos Vision as like the two buffer matches. Like, they're not bathroom break matches. I mean, when WWE has only 5 matches on the cards, they don't have bathroom break matches anymore because they just end up having a shit ton of commercials instead. But they do typically end up having like big match, lesser match, semi-big match, semi-lesser match, main event sort of scenario. So I could see this being the opener. I could also see this potentially starting with Cody and Drew. And then just being like, all right, the Punk and AJ one's the middle match. I guess we're going to find out. Just as everything else, we will have live coverage of WrestlePalooza on SmarkOutMoment.com. I'll be also posting that elsewhere, but you should go to Smark Out Moment. And I'll have a post show immediately following, well, not immediately following, but following this, as quickly as I can afterward, which may or may not also be the AEW All Out 2025 post show. If I don't end up combining that, you'll know by following on the YouTube side of things, and make sure that you have your email alerts set up. We did a random hot tags the other day that was a live show, and you never know when we're going to go live on that. That's the whole point of checking that off, and then you get that email just being like, hey, look, they're spontaneously live. Go ahead and check them out. Make sure that if you want to help support us, all those things I mentioned before about this marketplace and all that. And also, of course, just go hunting around on amangotree.com on my Linktree list and start following all those different accounts if you're interested in things on that front. Fanboys Anonymous, Smark Out Moment, Tony Mango stuff. It's all over there. So go follow that and make sure you're following Rob and Callum too.
Yep, you can follow me everywhere at Dude Felice. You can check out my work on Fightful.com. And you can find me everywhere underneath the mango tree, because even over at Fanboys Anonymous, I'm usually right there next to Tony.
You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Wigmeister14. Check out the Power Rankings every Saturday over on smarkandmoment.com, where I rank the WWE superstars based on their prior week's performances. And heading over to the Fantasy League, because of course the results of WrestlePalooza will definitely influence, well, based on results, who gets to get some additional points, maybe get some extra trades in places here and there. So follow along to see how our teams are doing, who's on our rosters, and all that great stuff over there.
Okay, everybody, you know the deal. If you didn't already leave a comment, go ahead and do that on whatever platform it is that you're listening to us. Hit that like button if you enjoyed this podcast. Pretty straightforward. Just kind of run down here, and we're going to do the same thing for the AEW All Out event that is happening a little bit prior to WrestlePalooza. So we're going to record that actually right now. I'm probably going to have that scheduled to be releasing sometime like Wednesday morning or so. So stay tuned for that one. And of course, WrestlePalooza coverage. If anything changes in the meantime before we get to the hot tags, we will address that on the hot tags too. I'm highly doubting that there is going to be any kind of alterations that happen based off of NXT tonight. But, I mean, things could happen. Maybe, knock on wood. Hopefully this doesn't happen. But a couple people that are scheduled to be at this card, like Stephanie Vaquer, are going to be participating tonight on NXT. Who knows? Maybe she gets injured or something. Maybe they announce something. I don't know. But I'm assuming all 5 of these matches stay intact as they are. And of course, if there are changes, you could also check smarkandmoment.com. That'll do us in for this one. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time around with the All Out Pay-Per-View-Point. Adios for now. This has been another Smark Out Moment, and we're being counted out.